Okay, I think we actually have a quorum, but are there any announcements? Okay. I'm just going to make. Where'd my gavel go? There it is. All right, folks, we're just about ready to get going. Everybody, please take a seat. And I just want to make a couple announcements and see if there's any other announcements. My announcements are, as you all know, and you've heard me say this before, we're celebrating the 250th year anniversary since Lexington and Concord in the Battle of Bunker Hills, in which Townsend Minutemen fought and some died. And to commemorate the Concord Alarm on April 19th, the Townsend Minutemen, together with the Townsend Historical Society, will be conducting a march from the Methodist Church down through onto the rail trail and down to the Reed Homestead. So we hope that you will come out and join us. And if you're interested in learning about how to dress like a Minuteman or a colonial lady, we're having a seminar on that at the town meeting hall near the library this Saturday at noon. Huzzah! No skits tonight for the recreation of the town meeting of 1774 or 75. Are there any other announcements? I think you can. Uh-oh. All right, can you hear me now? All right, I guess I have to talk really into it. Okay. Ms. Kelly, there's one announcement, if you can make it short. You speak right into the microphone. Oh.
So I just want to call attention to a flyer that is back on the table. It says Project 211 plus 21, Community Call to Action, and I hope everyone can grab one. You're going to hear a lot tonight probably about the Chapter 70 school funding formula and how it's broken. And there's been action being taken by a lot of organizations in the state to fix the state funding formula that is resulting in the overrides and school closures that are happening in actually 232 communities across the state of Massachusetts. So there have been many organizations, including the Mass Association of Regional Schools and the Mass Teachers Association, and just a variety of organizations and parent groups working on this, and it's getting traction at the State House. And we've been asked to do our part. On March 24th at 11 a.m. at UMass Amherst, there's a meeting of the Joint Committee on Ways and Means, and they're pushing for supplemental funding for the district to help us out for this year and for the next year or two until the funding formula can be fixed. They're asking if anyone is available, if they could please show up that day as a show of support, because we do have to convince the Ways and Means that there's big support. They're also asking if anybody could send an email there's some email addresses here, Mike Rodriguez and Aaron Michaelwitz. Those are the chairs of the Mass Ways and Means, as well as CC, our state reps. Those emails are important that they have in hand so they can say that the community is really asking for this help, and this is happening across all 232 communities, so they're really asking if as many people as possible can send an email so they can show up with a big file of emails and say, this is really happening across the state and it's really important, we need you to pay attention. If you don't have access to email, you're not comfortable, we are putting a box at the Townsend Library, and if you want to just drop it off there before 1:30 on Saturday the 22nd, we'll make sure that it gets out to UMass Amherst on the 24th as well. So I'm just really hoping we're all kind of in the same boat where we're all sick of overrides, we're all sick of school closings and this constant cycle that we're on. If we do this, it's at least something that hopefully can get the state's attention to make the change.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kelly. All right, I think we do have a quorum, I understand, so we can get started. Are we okay with TCAM, everybody? We online? We're good? Okay, again, we do have some seats up in the front here. I guess we don't have as many visitors as we anticipated. I'm going to ask at this point, is Mr. No, that's good. Yeah, where's my deputy moderator, Mr. Rahala? Is he here? Okay. In the event we have anybody in the selectmen's room for visitors, we may need someone to moderate that room, but let's hope we don't need it. And if we do, we'll have to appoint someone then. Okay. I guess there is a quorum. I'll call this town meeting to order. March 10th, 2025. All right, we have the Scouts here tonight. They're led by Derek Congdon, Todd Arsenal, and the Scouts that I got names for. Sorry, I don't have everybody now, but we have Colin Sinan, Ryland Saucier, Owen Saucier, and it looks like we've had some reinforcements because there's about 3 more guys that have shown up. So thank you, gentlemen. And I think you can, if you will, do the honors, present the colors, and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right.
Yeah. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Scouts, and you get your names for the town clerk for the record. Was there anybody else that came in late? We'll get it. I'll get it from there. All right. All right, to review some of our rules for the town meeting. We've done the Pledge of Allegiance. Remind any visitors, if we do have any seats for visitors up front. The Scouts, we're asking everybody to use the microphone at the center aisle. We're going to try this out. If someone has a hard time, or the microphone up on the balcony, if you can be recognized and then approach the microphone, we'll see how that works. If there's anyone who has some issue where it's difficult for them to get to the microphone, please let me know, and we'll see if one of the Scouts can bring a microphone to you. Again, the meeting is being recorded by Townsend Community Access Media, and thank those gentlemen for their hard work that they do presenting this meeting to us and to the folks at home. I'm John Barrett, the town moderator, and to my right is the town clerk, Kathleen Spofford. And further on, we have Laurie Schifrin. I'm not sure, who's the chairman now? Okay, no, Laura. Laura, okay, Laura, chairman of the Board of Select Persons, Select Board. All these changes, I have a hard time keeping up. Veronica Kell, also on the Select Board. Nelson Mui, the town administrator, and Lisa Mead, standing in for Adam Costa for town council. We also have a finance committee, and I know we have Don Hayes, Geraldine Vazikas, Sam Grant, Mary Jane Churchville, Kathy Haas, Carol Haasas, and say again? David Walker. Okay, thank you. All right. I think everybody sort of knows the routine here. Please raise your hand to be recognized before you speak. Once you're recognized, please state your name and address, and then approach the microphone. Direct your comments to the moderator, not personally back and forth. All motions must be in writing and brought to the clerk. If a matter is finally voted, it may be reconsidered upon a majority vote if the motion to reconsider is made this evening. If the meeting goes into a second night, an article which has been voted on tonight may be only reconsidered by a 9/10 vote. Votes are taken by ayes and noes, and the moderator determines the outcome of the voice vote. If I'm in doubt, I'll ask for a show of hands, or I'll call the counters forward. If a vote as declared by the moderator is questioned by 7 voters, then we will also bring in the counters to count. If you're confused about a situation on the floor, if there's something that you think is not going quite right, not because you disagree with something that somebody said, but because there's some point of order, you can interrupt the speaker and raise a point of order, and then briefly state your point of order. If for some reason you're not able to hear, or there's something that's inconveniencing you, making it difficult for you to participate in the meeting, you can raise a point of privilege, and I will recognize you, and then you can state what the problem is. And just so everyone remembers, I think everyone knows, if a motion to move the question cuts off debate, it's not debatable. However, our practice has been that you cannot bring a motion to, you cannot be recognized, then have address the question or a comment, and then move in your speech to move the question. Also, if there seems to be insufficient discussion and there's a lot of people that want to speak and we are not hearing things over and over again, I will declare the motion to move the question out of order. I'm going to ask everyone to be courteous and polite, and remember that we're doing the town's business here. Everyone has different opinions, but I want to have everybody respect those opinions and speak fairly and courteously. Visitors may speak if there is no objection. However, if a visitor has something that I believe is pertinent and important for the meeting to hear, I can recognize them even if there is an objection. And department heads are designated to speak for their departments may speak. Okay. Is there a return of the warrant, Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Pursuant to the within warrant, I have notified and warned the inhabitants of the town of Townsend by posting up attested copies of the same at Memorial Hall, 272 Main Street at the Center, West Townsend Reading Room, 264 Dudley Road in West Townsend, Police Communications Center, 70 Brookline Road, Harbor Fire Station, 47 Main Street, and Harbor Church, 80 Main Street, at least 14 days before the date of the meeting, as within directed. Signed, Michelle Dold, Constable of Townsend.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, Article 1.
Mr. Moderator,
Ms. Kell.
I move to take Articles 4 and 5 out of order and have them follow Article 6. Second.
Okay, motion's been made, a preliminary motion to change the order of the articles, moving Articles 4 and 5 to be taken up after Article 6. There's a motion been made and seconded. Anything to be said? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. No. The ayes have it. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to amend its zoning bylaws, being Chapter 145 of the Town Code, Article 9, entitled Special Provisions, Section 54.1, entitled Age Restricted Development. And with the meeting's permission, I'm not going to read the rest of the article, but we'll ask for a motion. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, Mr. Moderator, to table.
Okay, the motion has been made to table. Is it the intention to take this up later at the end of the meeting?
No, it's to
Okay.
take no action.
All right, typically we'd take a motion to take no action.
on Article 1.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all right. Motion's made to take no action on Article 1. It's been seconded. Is there any questions? Apparently
Mrs.
this
Scout.
needs a little more work.
Kathy.
All those in favor of the motion to take no action on Article 1, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. We'll take no action.
It's a difference in,
It's not on you. Why don't you take motions?
Article 2,
you've got to have
to see if the town will vote to convert the office of town clerk from an elected position to a position appointed by the select board for a 3-year term, subject to the acceptance by the voters at the annual town elections, provided that the incumbent serving at the time of any such acceptance by the voters shall continue to hold office and to perform the duties thereof until the expiration of the term for which he or she was elected, or until he or she otherwise vacates the office, or if such individual is elected at the same election at which the office becomes an appointed office, until the appointment to said office is otherwise made, all of the foregoing in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Sections 1 and 1B, or take any other action in relation thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Ms. Kell.
I move that the town convert the office of town clerk from an elected position to a position appointed by the select board for a 3-year term, subject to acceptance by the voters at the annual town elections, provided that the incumbent serving at the time and any such acceptance by the voters shall continue to hold the office and to perform the duties thereof until the expiration of the term for which he or she was elected, or until he or she otherwise vacates the office, or if such individual is elected at the same election at which the office becomes an appointed office, until the appointment to said office is otherwise made, all of the foregoing in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Sections 1 and 1B.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there anything to be said?
I can speak to that. Oh, go ahead.
All right. Ms. Spofford?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The position of town clerk is governed only by Mass General Laws, election laws, the Townsend Charter, and bylaws. The town clerk is a public servant who works for you, the people of Townsend, and has been elected position in Townsend since the town was incorporated in 1732 and has served you, the people, well. If appointed, the town clerk will no longer be chosen by the voters of the town of Townsend, but will be chosen by the 3 people who sit at the select board's table and will no longer be serving you, but the select board. I urge you to vote no on this article to keep the control in your hands, not at the whim of the select board. Thank you.
Hold on, folks.
Okay.
All right. Let's keep it to a minimum, please. Is there anything to be said? Any other comments? Up in the balcony, Ms. Craven.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. To echo what our current town clerk said, Kim Craven, 87 Lunenburg Road. As a member of the Charter Committee and a member of this community, I think it is imperative that we keep this position as one that we vote on. The control for our community and our vote for the town clerk is essential. The separation of the duties of our town clerk from our select board is important to keep what we have down in the clerk's office for our elections to be totally separate from the appointment of our select board. The duties that are incumbent on the clerk should always be separate from the appointing body. I hope that we turn this down with a no vote for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, comments come on the motion, folks. We're going to be here till midnight if we clap for everybody that speaks, so please keep the applause to a minimum. Right, I'm sorry.
Jacek Mozzanowski, 16 Alisa Drive. I fully agree with our town clerk to keep it short. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Janos. On the balcony again, Mr. Melanson.
Todd Melanson, 79 Clement Road. I'm a member of the Board of Water Commissioners. There's a certain amount of checks and balances in our local government. There are certain boards, committees, or whatever that have certain amount of semi-autonomy so that we can make decisions that are, as we were elected to be in the best interest of the town as we see it. We have to make decisions that aren't necessarily popular. I would recommend a no vote on this article for those reasons, for the checks and balances that are already set in our community. Thank you.
Okay, comments come on the motion. Anything else to be said? Not sure who was up for us. Sir, over here.
How are you? Brad Hahn, 1 Brown Road. It looks like this was brought by the selectmen, so I just have a question for the selectmen. Can you help me understand the why behind this, just so I can help better understand the what? From my understanding, just from where I sit, that office is a well-oiled machine, and that's a reflection of the group we have. So I just like to understand the why behind this.
Okay.
All right, question comes on the motion.
I'll speak.
One of the, Ms. Schifrin?
Okay, so it's come before you because we're taking the opportunity where the current town clerk has resigned. And we have an election coming up to fill that term. There's many cities and towns that are our size, not cities, I'll take the cities out, sorry, but towns that are our size that have, say, 50-50 on the appointed versus the elected. A lot of those are only one person or a part-time person. We have 2 people in the department. We have a budget that is not going to support a lot of things in town. We're taking this opportunity to have someone who's interviewed, vetted, and meets qualifications versus a popular vote. And that's what it's been all along, is the popular vote. I'm saying nothing against Kathy. This has nothing to do with personalities. It's all about business and the budget and having a vetting process like we do for the police chief, like we do for the fire chief, like we do for the town administrator and any other position in town. It's posted, you take applications, you do interviews, you do vetting, and you hope you have the best person for the job. That doesn't happen necessarily when you have an election. I'm happy to take questions, and it is our budget as well.
Just a follow-up
Okay,
question.
Go
Kathy,
ahead.
Kathy, is that true? Did you retire? And then lastly, would the selectmen be okay if the town administrator got to appoint the selectmen's board?
All right, comments? Maybe,
But there's no budget to the selectmen's board. The people that are elected elect when you have a candidates night. Okay, you get to present your qualifications and you get votes. There's no payment to the volunteerism of a select person. We do work very close in hand with the town administrator.
All right, comments come on the motion.
I think educated hiring is better than votes.
Okay, folks,
Okay.
folks,
You know, it's your
everybody's
choice.
got a right to their opinion, and we're gonna move
There's-
on to, Laura, if you would. Okay, I'll let you wrap up.
There's no personal agenda here, but the community. If there's a personal agenda, I don't have it. I'm not looking to hire anybody that I know. I'm looking for an open process.
All right,
Okay.
comments come on the motion. I know there was, Harrison, there was someone, I thought, but maybe he stepped out. No, all right, Harrison, then I'll go up to the balcony.
Harrison Mayotte, 292 Main Street. Madam Chair, are you saying that the voters are not able to vet a candidate on their own?
You got to pull that mic up, I think, Harrison. Unfortunately, it's, yeah.
I understand.
Speak right into it.
Madam Chair, are you saying that the voters cannot vet a candidate on their own?
Do the voters vet everyone and follow their qualifications? This is not against any one person. It's the position and for the town. That's all. Like we hire anybody else in town, there's qualifications.
I mean, for the history of the town,
It is for the
town
town
clerk has been
and the-
elected and...
Harrison, you got to
it is
really
proven
speak into that
correct.
microphone, please.
For the history of the town clerk has been successfully elected. Why should it change now? A qualified town
I think
clerk.
it's kind of been asked and answered, I think,
Okay.
the reasons that were given for the change. All right, now let's go to the balcony. The balcony, sorry, I'm kind of blinded by this, so I probably...
It's okay, John. Chris Nocella,
Okay,
72
Chris,
South
yeah.
Harbor Road. I'm not in favor of this. I know that previous boards have tried to do this. They've talked about it, and we all talked them out of the tree. They tried to take over the Board of Health a couple of years ago. That didn't work because, you know why? We like to vote for who we want to see in power. We voted for them. We don't want them to just do whatever they want. That's my
All right.
opinion, and I think everyone should vote no. We don't want to lose another voting right. Thank you.
All right, comments come on the motion. All right, in the front here, Karen? Okay, all right. Second, all right, motion's been made to move the question. I'm going to give the opportunity to anybody, we've had quite a few people speak in opposition, so I want to hear if there's anyone else that is in support of the article before we move the question. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in favor of the article? Okay, I think we can move the question then.
May I just
We're going to
make a-
vote first on the,
Sorry, just a point of order.
Oh.
I'm not for or against, but just to clarify, the answer to the one gentleman's question was that Kathy has retired versus resigned. And I think there was some confusion by the reaction there. That's all. I'm an HR.
okay, okay, thank you. All right. Okay, so we're going to vote to move the question first, and then we will vote on the main article. All right, all those in favor of moving the question, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. The ayes have it. All right, it is before you, Article 2. All those in favor of the article, the motion on Article 2, please say aye. Those opposed say no. No. The noes have it. Article 3. Okay. All right, hold on, folks. Sorry, I have to go back and forth between. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate. Everyone, back to business. Borrow or transfer from available funds in the Treasury the sum of $80,790, or take any other sum for the purpose of funding as detailed below, or take any other action in relation thereto, and is $80,790 for a fire EMS truck.
Mr.
Is there a motion?
Moderator,
Yeah, yes, Ms. Schifrin.
I move to raise and appropriate, borrow or transfer from available funds in the Treasury the sum of $80,790 or take any action thereto. No. Right, I wasn't given the motions.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Pardon me. I move that the town borrow the sum of $80,790 to be paid by ambulance receipts for the purpose of funding the price increase on the fire truck from Seagrave Fire Apparatus LLC, number 78M54.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Anything to be said? All right. I think Mr. Sella?
My only question is, what year was this fire engine approved? I know when I was on capital planning, we had approved one that said if we buy it early, the cost will not go up. That's why we approved it.
All right. Comments come on the motion? is, all right, Ms. Kell.
All right, yes, capital planning, it was May 2022 annual town meeting that this was approved. Chris, you were on capital planning, I was on capital planning, and Geraldine Bezikas from FinCom were on capital planning. We approved the fire truck for $745,000, I believe it was, borrowed, and the borrowing has already occurred. There are two clauses in the contract, number 2 and number 8, that allow changes in prices to occur. We also, the town, also approved in May of 2023 a second fire truck. That comes in at around, I don't have it in front of me, but about $865,000. So just a year later, the cost of the truck had increased that much. The 2022 purchase is to replace a truck that is, the year of the truck is 1995. The second truck that we're replacing, the year of that truck purchase was 2002. So these are trucks that definitely need to be replaced. As we've all seen, the cost of supplies has increased greatly in the past 3 years and will continue to increase. The fact, I don't know if you've read the notes from the FinCom, but the fact that the company has done similar price increases to other towns throughout the country indicates to me that this is definitely a price increase that the manufacturer has seen for their materials, and therefore it is reasonable to expect that they would request more to be paid. I guess at this point, I would defer to the fire chief if he is present.
All right, Chief Shepherd?
How's this? Thank you. As your fire chief, I like to make things brief and quick, but tonight may be another longer one. I want to be clear, I've heard $8,700, it's $80,790 is what the increase is. We made the first purchase in 2022 for the price of $734,451. The increase that they'll add with that $80,790 will bring us to $815,241. A year later, we purchased another engine at $839,000. So even with the increase, it stays below. These current engines today, if we were to buy them, we have an 1,100-day wait. They come in at $1,100,000 times 2, that's $2.2 million. With an 11% escalation clause, that puts it at $2.4 million. The delta between what we agreed upon and what the cost would be if we allow this engine to be kicked back and the other one to be kicked back is $786,000. With that, there's also other components to this, and that is ISO. Everyone's homeowner's insurance in this building, if you own and you're a registered taxpayer, your insurance is based on our ability to deliver and quickly get there. Amount of fire hydrants, how close, amount of fire apparatus, how quickly we respond, the amount of personnel, the type of equipment, so on and so forth. So when the ISO comes in and monitors and evaluates the ability of emergency services to get to your property, these factors come into play. Anything over 20 years drops down in some of the quality. Doesn't mean that a truck that's 25 years old, it can't perform, but it's more likely to have problems. Therefore, they put a cap on the 20 years and it begins to deteriorate after that. The pieces that I'd like to address with the Finance Committee, I met with them for 2 hours, 2 Saturdays ago, and they were 6-0 not in favor of promoting this. That's disappointing. I walked out of that meeting assuming that we had made a solid case as to why this was necessary, never mind the savings and the possibility of losing that level of fire protection. quickly sit back and think about what has happened on the West Coast and last weekend on Long Island. Now, if the town decides that they would like to not support these, we will do the best to deliver what we can with what we've got. But clearly, we've seen that you can have conflagrations, you can have major fires, and you've got to be prepared. It's an insurance policy to make sure that we can arrive and we can deliver. We're not operating in 1970 mentality. Building construction is different. How we approach fires is different. We have to have the right equipment, and we have to be able to get there quickly to get the job done. So the company, the comment on the Finance Committee is the company has done similar price increases to other towns. Today, I spoke with the president of Seagraves. Seagraves has been in business 140 years. They've had over 100 people complain about it. 4 have taken it further into lawsuits about the contracts. Only 2 have pending lawsuits. Everything else has been settled. They've all agreed. 98% of all fire trucks have been increased. The prices have been increased. Unfortunately, I got some of this information kind of through the back, and even though there may be some that are disappointed in how the price increase is handled internally to the fire department, we have a very clever group of folks that come with a variety of skill sets, and we put together committees to review. And when we bought this truck, I instructed the committee, don't buy the truck based on price. And I understand last night there was social media conversation that we should buy a commercial grade truck and utilize that at half the price. When you take aluminum and stainless and metal and you put it together and you try to bolt it together, it doesn't always stick. So there's a cation exchange without getting into it, and the bolts will erode and the bodies can fall off and you'll see more rust. These trucks at $800,000 is a big price. We understand that, but they're also all stainless steel. So just to give you an idea of what the cost increase was during today, I called and I said, we have a contract. We've been dancing this dance for a year. I need a little bit of ammunition. Can you break down some of the price increase? And they did. This has not gone without a battle. It has. I think some of the folks in our department have a pretty good skill set of understanding contracts negotiation, and I would challenge that we did not push back. For example, EPA has changed the engines. We're at Tier 4. They've changed a variety of components on the trucks in order to be able to make the truck pass compliance. In Massachusetts, January 1st, you're not supposed to be able to buy a strong diesel engine for anything other than municipal services. So even though they may not be enforcing that, it is the law. So to change the engine, that cost $11,000. The sheet metal, the plating was $9,000. The miscellaneous floor stock items, $7,000. The harnesses for the safety components in the cab, $4,800. Pumps, water, coolant components, $4,100. Paint and body fillers, and it goes to the point that it was at $111,000. We've negotiated that to the $80,000 mark. It was $111,180, and they identified all the parts that would create that price increase. The other piece that I will share with you as we kind of drift away with it, and my apologies for taking your time, but I think the best thing to do is to be educated. In Townsend right now, we are incredibly strong. We're not talking about an ambulance, although we do have our 3rd ambulance coming in the fall. It takes 3 years to get these trucks now. You can't order a truck today and pick it up tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. With all the problems in emergency services across the country, whether it be hospital closure like we're witnessing in Neshoba or any of the other pieces that are going on, we have responded out of town this year to Pepperell 793 times. To Ashby 107 times, to Groton 74 times. That's 974 calls we've been out of town. And yes, it is unfortunately the Townsend taxpayer that's taken a part of that hit. In addition, we've had 1,700 calls within the town of Townsend. That puts our crew at 2,674 calls. This afternoon we had a call in town without giving you the address. It came in as a possible stroke. We arrived, not just ambulance people, but fire people arrived. At one point, there were 5 of us in the back of the ambulance assessing the patient. We made a determination what was going on with the type of equipment. So whether it's fire or it's EMS, if you make the choice that you do not want high-level equipment, the outcome will be different. We identified this patient was having a stroke. We called for a airstrike right from the ambulance. did monitoring in the ambulance, and an hour after the 911 call was placed, the patient was on a gurney in UMass in Worcester. So whether you want to consciously make the decision to allow the town to spend this type of money and have the ability to live in a very safe and protected town, probably one of the strongest departments in the region, I would encourage you to do that. If you'd like statistics, I'm happy to feed you with all the statistics relative to the engine. I thought it would be much simpler than this. I'm very disappointed that the Finance Committee voted against this 6-1, because a year ago, folks, I stood in this town meeting and the Finance Committee and the Capital Planning had offered us $70,000 for upgrades to our equipment, and on a town meeting floor, it was withdrawn and it was not even brought to a vote. We offered from our ambulance reserve receipt account, which we monitor on every single call, and last year we generated $983,000. We offered to take $100,000 of that to fund our own emergency equipment. That was granted, and thank you. Later in the year, we gave $700,000 back to support our budget because we feel it's important to participate and to give back. In the middle of the summer, I was approached and said, we need to balance the budget once again. Can you give us $100,000? I said to them then, given $100,000 today could impact us in the future. They took the $100,000, balanced the budget in August, and today I'm standing here to tell you that we are still earning money, we are still generating money, and we expect to be $800,000 for the year, but I still have to outfit these trucks. I feel that, Mr. Moderator and the boards, that this should not be money taken out of the ambulance reserve receipt account. I think we've given back. I think this money needs to be borrowed, amortized as it was when the original loan was taken 3 years ago with a 15 to 18% annual increase on the inflation. Trying to cover that with a 2.5% COLA does not work. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions and not put you to sleep the rest of the way.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. Folks. All right, gentleman at the microphone.
Hi, I'm Chris Thurrott, 102 Pierce Road, and I had a quick question, which I think the chief just answered, thank you, about the ambulance receipts and whether we had the room in our ambulance receipts. It's clear he doesn't want to go that way, so it seems like we have to modify the article right now.
All right, I think, did everyone hear that?
Okay.
Yeah,
so
to speak right into the microphone.
Sure. So
A little closer.
we have we have sufficient ambulance receipts to cover it, but the chief does not want to use ambulance receipts, so it seems the article needs to be amended.
Well, the article is to borrow the funds, right? Not to take it from ambulance.
It says ambulance receipts on there. It says borrow ambulance receipts.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Mr. Moderator?
Hold on. What was the motion as read? I don't.
Your mic's off.
The motion says to borrow the sum of $80,790 to be paid by ambulance receipts for the purpose of funding the price increase, etc.
Okay, so we're not borrowing it
We are.
from ambulance receipts?
Or are we borrowing and
I'll let you
repaying
talk
with
to
ambulance
that.
receipts?
Mr. Mui.
So we are borrowing that amount of money, but the payments will be paid for through the ambulance receipts account.
Yeah, okay. Try to repeat that again, Nelson, if you would.
So this article is to borrow that sum of money, and all the payments are being paid for through the ambulance receipts account.
Okay. Ms. Dunnett, you add to this?
Mr. Moderator?
Okay, Mr. Chief Shepherd.
Melissa? Or the Board of Selectmen or the Finance Committee. So in the event that we agree to go along with this, and I'm always happy to support the town, I would like to make sure that it doesn't just keep raising the ante on how much we have to give back. Now, we'll always be willing to support, but if we give back $700,000 a year for salaries or the operation of the fire EMS department is now going to be $700,000 plus this, and that I am opposed to.
Comments come on the motion. Is there any clarification on that point? I guess it's an expression of future intent, Chief Shepherd, that they're not going to keep doing this, I guess. Is that correct? Yeah.
Mr. Moderator?
Hold on. Yeah, Melissa, if you could get a microphone. No.
Hello, everyone. So, Gary, if you're going to do something with your budget that you would say you want to donate or whatever you give back to the town out of your ambulance receipts, less what you need to pay off the debt from ambulance receipts, that's something that needs to be negotiated or discussed with the town administrator, and I'm sorry if I'm speaking for Nelson, but that's a future budget question that I, as treasurer collector, don't have any authority to answer.
Thank you. Mr. Moderator, I would still like the motion to read borrow, not from ambulance reserve receipts, because we've given back and we will continue, but I'm very disappointed in the recommendations, which I don't think they were completely founded. So if we can modify the motion, I would like it to read borrow and strike ambulance receipts.
Well, if someone can prepare a motion to amend, is that a motion to amend the article?
That's yes, it is. That's an amendment, a motion made to amend.
All right. I think.
I'll second it.
Is there a second to that motion to amend? Okay. Motion is made to amend, and we'll need it in writing, but I think we can test the hall to see if. All right. We'll need that in writing, Chief Shepherd, before we vote.
Very well. Where's the original motion?
All right, we have a copy down here.
Okay. Do you want me to come down and strike that, or can somebody up there
Did you want
strike
just
that?
the town clerk can write it out if you want to state it.
You want me to speak it?
Yeah.
All right.
It now?
Yeah, making me work for it, you're right. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, borrow, transfer from available funds in the Treasury the sum of $80,790 or any other sum for the purpose of funding the detail below, or take any action in relation thereto. One, fire EMS price increase on a fire truck's $80,790.
That's okay.
Borrow.
Okay, I'll make the motion. I move that the town borrow the sum of $80,790. $80,790 to be paid by free cash for the purpose of funding the price increase on the fire truck from Seagrave Fire Apparatus LLC, numbered 878M54.
Okay, we're at a point now where we have a different motion, so I'm going to ask for a vote to amend the original motion to that motion, which is basically to fund this expense for the fire truck, but take it from free cash. That's the motion that we are voting to amend. So, is there anything else to be said about the amendment? All right, I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no.
Free cash.
Okay. So, the amended motion is now before the meeting, which is to borrow the sum of $80,790. No, you're just taking it from free cash, you're not borrowing.
Yeah, take from free cash.
Okay, okay. We're going to take from free cash the sum of $80,790 for the purpose of funding the price increase on the fire truck from Seagrave Fire Apparatus. That correctly stated, Chief?
I believe it is, yes.
So it's not being borrowed, it's not coming out of ambulance receipts, it's being taken from free cash.
Being paid for.
Okay, so that's what it says.
For the audience or the taxpayers also know that this increase gives us $40,000 more in additional extended warranties, and the real cost is something shy of $40,000 to the town.
Okay. All right, so is anybody satisfied on what we're voting on? Anybody have any questions? Okay, all right. Yep.
Hi, Bob Duteau from Wallace Hill Road in Townsend. I only have one question based on what Chief Shepherd said. With all of the assistance that we're giving Pepperell Groton, does the town of Townsend get any of that money? Are we compensated for fire services, ambulance services, et cetera?
Okay, question comes on the motion. Chief.
Thank you, Bob. Good question. Complicated question again. In the emergency services, we are having a shortage of personnel. As a result of mutual aid, the agreement has always been, we give one, they give one. It's very lopsided right now in the entire region. I am in a serious and significant conversation with the town of Pepperell because they haven't been able to staff, is to grab or ask for, and they've agreed, we haven't settled on a number yet, of a contribution back, and I can't tell you what that will be or if it will be when.
After this.
All right, comments come on the motion. I think we're ready to vote. All right, all those wish to vote in favor of the motion on Article 3, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Congratulations. All right, now, yes, declare that to be a two-thirds
Now we
vote.
go to 6 from 3.
All right, now, per the motion made earlier, we're skipping to Article 6. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to convey a fee simple or lesser interest in land or buildings known as 540 Main Street, shown on Assessors Map 3, Block 18, Lot 0, or any portions thereof. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town authorize the select board to convey a fee simple or lesser interest in the land and/or buildings thereon, known as 540 Main Street, shown on Assessor's Map 3, Block 18, Lot 0, or in any portion or portions thereof, together with any interest appurtenant thereto, on such terms and conditions as the board deems to be in the best interest or interests of the town, and to execute any and all agreements and documents to effectuate said conveyance, and to authorize the board to take any and all actions deemed by it to be necessary or prudent in connection therewith.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Is there anything to be said? Any explanation or Ms. Kell?
I'm going to defer.
Town administrator.
It's the water department building, the old water department building.
Why don't you let folks know who wants to address it?
What was the question?
I just said, is there anything to be said? Any explanation?
This was an article that was voted at a previous town meeting, and I will let our town administrator explain.
Yeah, so there was an article on the September 26, 2023 special town meeting. This parcel was voted on and passed. However, the map, block, and lot number was incorrect. In the original article, it was shown as map 3, block 10, lot 0. When in actuality, it should be map 3, block 18, lot 0. So this article is to correct that mistake at the special town meeting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mui. Explanation comes on the motion, and Mr. Melanson.
Just to clarify, just so everyone knows, this is the old office for the water department. When we built the new treatment plant, when we built the water treatment plant, we also built in a new office. The majority of the residents that pay their water bills are in and closer to that, to where the treatment plant is. As additional, a lot of the work that we do is closer to there. Some of the newer vehicles were too big to fit into the old building. It didn't meet a lot of the electrical requirements with the amount of what we call SCADA, which is the monitoring and the control of the facilities, both the wells and now the treatment plant. It became an accessory that we didn't need, and that's why it's up. It's on the warrant article now. Thank you.
Okay, comments come on the motion. Is there anything else to be said? I don't see any hands, so I think we're ready to vote. And this requires a 2/3 vote. It's to authorize the selectmen to basically sell this property. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it by 2/3. All right, that brings us to, I believe, Article 4. To see if the town will vote to hear a presentation to the special town meeting voters on the North Middlesex Regional School District budget or take any other action in relation thereto. Is there a motion?
I move that the town hear the presentation to the special town meeting voters on the North Middlesex Regional School District budget. Do you have a second?
Motion's seconded? Okay, motion's made and seconded. This is basically to hear a presentation. Is there any questions about this? All right. Sir, I'm sorry. Chris? Go ahead.
Chris Thurrott, 102 Pierce Road. How long is the presentation?
You know, I was going to ask that same question. How long is the presentation? Mr. Morgan, are you doing it, or?
Mr. Hackler's doing the presentation.
Okay.
It's about
All right.
5-10 minutes.
All right. Okay. I think we can endure that, right, folks? All right. Mr. Hackler, you have the floor.
Did you?
All right. I guess that's right. We should do that. I guess I got that by common consent. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Unanimous. All right. Mr. Hackler.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Will Hackler, School Committee, Finance Chair. Go through a couple slides here. We've been working with the town administrators for a number of months after the challenges from last year for the budget here. I won't read all of this to you, but as many of you have heard, if we were to give a level services budget, aka same services last year, our increase just for the school would have been roughly 5.5% just to maintain that piece of it. When we spoke with the town administrators, they said that, you know, they were willing to do about 3% based on the budgets, so we had to come down from that. Last week, or 10 days ago, whatever it was, the school committee voted this 2.25 budget As you can see listed up there, it is a number of cuts. Primary cuts being the building in Ashby and a number of staff. There's also a bunch of other line items there that are down in the bottom that we've been working very hard on as well. If we were to come down any further, the furthest piece on the side there, we'd have to basically come in at 0 in order to meet the 2.5 piece of it, which would also mean another building besides Ashby. I know we've had discussions about, Spalding, that was brought up in one of our meetings, and additional staff pieces there. Next slide, please, Nelson. The configuration that this 2.25 budget would be doing, as you can see, Ashby would be unoccupied. Squannacook would have grades pre-K to 1 for Ashby and Townsend residents. Grades 2 through 4 would be at Spalding. Grades 5 and 8 would be at Hawthorne Brook, and also the high school and the other grades for Pepperell, as you can see from there. The budget has been very challenging. Special education needs have gone up significantly. Transportation for that has gone up a lot. The regular contractual bus has gone up quite significant as well. We have, brought this up a number of times. Every time we put the busing out to bid, we only get one service to respond to that, which has been very interesting. So we've really been stuck at that piece of it. Obviously, we have, salary increases we're dealing with and a huge spike on the health insurance side. We are looking at other pieces here, a couple of things, we're looking at, as the chair of the finance, I am taking, comments from a lot of people. We're bringing those up and trying to work on a bunch of different, pieces that are here. So it is going on. It is ongoing. We are trying to work very hard at it. But at this point, we're still going to need more money from the town of Townsend, and we are requesting that you vote yes on this so it can go to a ballot for the override piece of it. The biggest problem and comment that I would have is, I appreciate everyone sending me and my school committee members emails about this on a regular basis, but I think we'd be better off writing to the state. Kelly was talking about earlier the project. It's not 211 anymore. 211 plus. Now, there are a lot of towns like ours that are having these issues. We need to be talking to the state. We need to be communicating to those, our state legislators, to the governor. Please take some time and write to them, because as you can see here, what we've been getting from the state is very flat. The presentation we did with the town administrators a few months ago, the biggest telling piece was in 2001, we got $20 million from the state. In 2025, we're getting $21 million. So if you could just consider that increases that we've had over the last 24 years, the chief talked about the costs going up on the trucks. I mean, we're dealing with the same thing here too. Inflation-wise, it's all coming down to the towns. We wish we had better news on that, but that's the way it's going with the state. And here's how the breakdown is for the 3 towns based on our budget at the 2.25. That's all I have for now.
All right.
Fast enough?
Is that are you open for questions then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any questions or comments? All right, up in the balcony.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Kim Creven, 87 Lunenburg Road. I know that this is on the warrant for an override of 1.3 million. I'd like to ask the select board why they're putting out 1.3 million I know there's documentation from August, and if you do the numbers with what the town committed to for 3% and the numbers that the school committee has worked on, it comes to about $500,000 that the town would have to put forward. I just got news that Pepperell is funding their school budget out of their current funds. Given what everyone is working towards on the state level to recalculate the formula, and given that I know our community does not prefer a 2.5% override, I would challenge this body and our community to amend the motion and fund the $500,000 or so needed, and I'd need my friends from the school committee to come up with the exact number, and to fund this year out of our budget, whatever it takes, so that we do not have a perpetual 2.5 override. We fund the schools in the hopes that we come in force on the 24th to force our state to fund what it has been not funding in our unfunded mandates in our transportation, so that we can have a fully funded school going forward, and that we don't continue to have to negotiate with our communities for tax overrides. I think that a small hurt for 1 year in funding the $500,000 would be better than a perpetual 2.5% override. Now, I don't know what that exact money would be, but I don't know why we're on there for a $1.3 million. I know it was probably largely a placeholder, but there's documentation from August that if the school committee came with a number, that you would be funding the 3%, and that comes to about $500,000.
All right, comments come on the motion. I know that there is some merger, I guess, between this article, which is to just hear the presentation, and the next article, which is to vote on it. So I guess I would ask if there's any specific questions about this presentation that you want to have answered, direct your questions to that. But then after that, we're going to be taking up the Article 5 to actually decide on the vote for the funds. So is there anything particularly about this presentation? Yes. Ms. Lord. Sandra, you want to take the mic, please?
Okay, I've gotten a few emails from the state, and for those who do not know, it's the Joint Committee on Ways and Means Legislative Local Aid hearing scheduled for March 24th at 11 a.m. at the UMass Amherst Campus Center. Please mark your calendars and plan to attend the important meeting with as many school and municipal officials as possible. It is extremely important that as many people as possible attend to impress upon our legislators the dire financial situation placed by school districts in hold harmless status and the municipalities that support them. So please, March 24th, 11 a.m. at the UMass Amherst Campus Center. It's very, very important. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lord. That echoes what Ms. Kelly announced, but thank you for bringing that back up to the board's, I mean, to the meeting's attention. Right, any other questions about the presentation, particularly? Mr. Melanson.
I have a quick question. I brought it up last time you presented for your budget. Since the law says that the state would fund transportation at 100%, and it never has, what is the chance that we change the bus routes, limit the buses, even though it says by law we're supposed to give them all? If they're not going to give us the money, why do we have to abide by it? Let them come after us, to be quite honest with you. Thank you.
Are you preaching revolution there, Mr. Melanson? Huzzah. All right, comments come on the article. I don't know.
Should I answer that?
Mr. Hackler, yeah, if you want to respond.
I'll just put that on the category of, biting off your nose to spite your face, because we still get some, so if we go and violate that piece of it, we're going to get ourselves into a lot of trouble. We're going to be asking for a lot more than that.
All right, comments come on the motion. Anything else to be said? Yep, in the back, and then you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Jim Rourke. I live on Regan Road in Townsend. I've been a resident of Townsend for about 50 years. And, matter of fact, I bought my house from her, one of the first houses she sold a long time ago. I'm here tonight as a grandparent. Before I was a parent, I had 4 kids go through North Middlesex. They all graduated, they all went to college, and 3 of them today are teachers. Okay? Now, my grandkids are going there. And now I know, and my granddaughter who goes to Ashby Elementary is really upset about she's not going to be able to go to school next year at her school. She might have a 1-hour bus ride to school, okay? So I understand that, so I urge everybody, if we go for 2.5 override, to vote for it, but there's a lot of people who live in town who aren't here tonight, so we need to get out and spread the word to your neighbors and your friends that we need to vote for this. Now, talking about voting, the presentation brought up the failure of our state representatives to provide adequate funding. So I'll ask you a question. Are you satisfied with the kind of representation that we're getting from our state rep and our state senator on this issue? Have they gone to bat for Townsend? Okay? Have they gone to the governor and said, we need to fund, I heard there's 200 and some odd towns that are having this situation. So one way that we can tell our state representatives is when we go to vote, we vote for 2.5, but when we see their name on the ballot, guess who I'm not voting for? So are you satisfied? So what I'd like to know, I actually emailed Margaret Scarsdale today, and she sent me this really long email saying all these great things that she's doing. So I told her that I will ask your opinion tonight. What is your opinion of the kind of support that you're getting from the local state representatives in support or non-support of our budget?
I'm much happier now than I was 10 years ago. We're actually having very good conversation with them, and we appreciate, it's been an unfortunate situation, but we appreciate what they've been doing for us lately.
Okay, thank you.
All right, comments come on the motion, and in the front here,
Brad Hahn, 1 Brown Road, Townsend. I have a couple quick questions. It's my understanding that, Spalding was donated to us. Are there certain, things that we can do with that building if that were to close, should an override not pass? And then my second question would be to the group here, what is that going to do if this doesn't pass and Spalding closes? What is that going to do for bus routes? I'd hate to see that we're going to be putting a new playground in that none of our kids can play on if they're going to be stuck on buses all day long, Monday through Friday.
all right, comments and questions come on the article. Is there any reply? Okay, no answer there. All right, Mr. Nacella.
I just have a question for you. I don't know much about, the finance for stuff. Does the federal government give us money also to the state to give to you? Because if they close the education thing, is that going to make it worse for you? Because you're not going to get money? I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
All right, question comes on the motion. Mr. Morgan?
Sure. So the federal government does give us money primarily through Title I. If that money is removed, it would be devastating.
All right, comments come on the motion. Mr. Rahala. All right. This will cut off debate on the presentation. Thank you, Mr. Rahala. I did hear a second there. So all those in favor of moving the question, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. All right. That brings us to Article 5. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,334,190, I believe, $8 for general fund budget expenses for fiscal year 2026 for the North Middlesex Regional School District operator and transportation assessments to the town for fiscal year 2026. Such appropriation to be contingent upon the town's approval add an election of a Prop 2.5 override, so-called, under Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21C, or take any other action in relation thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move
Ms.
that
Kell.
the town raise and appropriate the sum of $611,363 for general fund budget expenses for fiscal year 2026 for the North Middlesex Regional School District operating and transportation assessments to the town for fiscal year 2026. Such appropriation to be contingent upon the town's approval at an election of a Proposition 2.5 override, so-called, under Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21C.
Second.
All right.
Mr.
Motion-
Moderator?
Yes, Ms. Kell.
We have a report.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. So to Kim Craven's point earlier, we did reduce the ask for the 2.5% override related to the North Middlesex Regional School District. So the new amount...
It's not up.
It's not showing up.
Do you want me to jump in with the new amount?
No, I have it, but it's not showing up on the screen for some reason. What's going on?
Let's try from beginning. Oh, is that pulled out?
There we go. The new amount is $611,363. Up on the screen is just an illustration of just how big the school budget is compared to the rest of the town budget. So these are just very preliminary FY26 numbers. And as you can see here, the school budget is almost 58% of the entire town budget. And on the right-hand side, you can just see visually how big that their portion is compared to everything else. So we are looking for a $611,363 2.5% override to fund the North Middlesex School District. And this screenshot is directly from the DLS state website. If you plug in $611,363, that would result in an increase to the average single-family home of $177.31 per year. So we believe if this 2.5% override does not pass for the school budgets, that we'll probably need to make pretty significant cuts throughout the rest of the town. There are certain areas that we believe will not be cut, and that includes public safety, water, education, debt, and insurance. So what does that leave us with? The bottom left there, you see, is what's left of that preliminary FY26 budget. You can roughly say it's $4.7 million that we would have to cut from. So it's a pretty significant amount. So the potential cuts that we would target are potentially removing curbside trash pickup, reduction in staffing hours, which would result in town hall and other town buildings closing probably at least one business day, as well as a reduction in procurement of professional services. I just wanted to share with you how we came to the $611,000 figure. Just give me a second to pull it up. There we go. Can you see that? Might be a little. Zoom in.
Hold on, folks. Oh, yeah, can anybody shut the lights off? Up in the balcony? Gene, you know where the lights are up there? If you guys don't mind a small blackout?
Expand it, make it bigger.
All right, that's bigger. Can you see it now?
Give me a second.
Hey, hang. All right, hang on, folks. All right.
All right, is it a little bit better? Yes. So what we ended up doing was I just went back a few years to use FY22 as a baseline. So that's this number here, 13.3 million. And we just assumed 2.5% increases year over year. And we did it all the way out to FY26, which you come up to this number here, 14.682 million. And if I compare it to what the school district is asking, it's this number here, 15.293 million. So the difference is the $611,000 figure that we are proposing as a 2.5% override. So this is above and beyond, 2.5% year-over-year increases. So that is the number we are requesting for the North Middlesex tax override.
All right, comments and information comes on the article.
Can
And you still going? You got some more? Nelson?
I have a few other things to add, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, with that said, we will also need to, at the annual town meeting, put a ballot question for a 2.5% override for general government services. Yeah.
So the override would be for general government, not for the school?
There will be a separate override question just for general government services at the annual town election.
Town election, okay.
Correct.
On the ballot.
And let me see. And we have some preliminary figures of what that amount would be. We are targeting $722,835, and that would, one second. That would result in a increase in the average single-family household, an annual increase of $207.58 starting in FY26. And it's sort of the similar situation. If this override doesn't pass for general government services, we're going to have to make some pretty significant cuts in service and staffing hours. So if you add up both overrides, which totals $1,334,198, that would result in a increase to the average single-family home of $384.89.
I'm going to crave some clarification.
58.
Are we talking about two overrides here?
Okay. Can I talk or do you want to talk? So today, the question that's before you is to put a ballot question for the override for the schools on the annual town ballot. An override requires both a town meeting vote and a ballot vote. So the question in front of us is to put the override vote for the schools, $611,000, on the ballot. In addition, we will be voting a second ballot question for the general services for the town. That ballot question is the second one that Nelson was referring to, the $722,000. In other words, the $101.33 million is needed to fund all services for the town, including for the schools as we know them today. So there will be two ballot questions.
Yeah, point of order, Mr. Moderator. We only have one ballot question for tonight.
That is correct. So I am explaining what, there will be one question for the schools to put a question on the ballot. In addition, you should expect that on the ballot in April, there will be a second override question. The town meeting vote for that will be at the annual town meeting in May.
So point of order, Mr. Moderator. If we could talk about the school.
The question comes on the motion. Say that again, Kim.
May we talk about the school, seeing that's what's on the warrant for
Absolutely.
tonight?
I just don't want anybody to be surprised when they see two ballot questions in April. And we will make sure that before you go to the ballot, you understand the implications of the second vote. That's all. Now we can take questions on the schools.
All right. Now I'm still confused because don't we have to have a vote at town meeting for the whole thing? And I'm going to ask town council to chime in here.
Okay, ask town council.
Thank you,
Lisa
Mr.
Mead.
Moderator. So just to add clarification, town meeting appropriates the funds. In this instance, the appropriation is for the schools contingent upon a ballot question. Only the select board can put a question on the ballot. So this is an appropriation of the funds contingent upon a ballot question. What the select board and the town administrator is explaining is that the select board has an intention to put another ballot question on the ballot, but it will be subject to appropriation at the town meeting, at the annual town meeting. So tonight's discussion is on the $363,000 appropriation for the schools contingent upon the ballot question passing.
Okay. So we're doing things both ways. We're doing a vote to appropriate subject to a ballot override, and we're doing a ballot override subject to approval at town meeting.
Tonight, you're only doing an appropriation.
Well, no, not tonight. All right, not tonight. But what's being expected of the town is a vote to approve the $611,000 for an override vote that will be on the ballot in April. And the selectmen are also putting on the ballot in April a 2.5 override that will subsequently need to be approved by the town meeting in June. I'm sorry, May.
So- correct.
In May,
Put-
at the annual, okay, okay. You can do it both
Right.
ways, so.
So I'd like to go back to our question, Mr. Moderator, if I may.
All right, Ms. Craven.
Thank you. Kim Craven, 87 Lunenburg Road. There are some things we know tonight and some things that we don't know tonight. What we do know tonight is the school budget and the school ask. I do need a clarification from Superintendent or from Bill Hackler. How many teachers got laid off last year?
Question?
Approximately 20. Approximately 21 additional ones for this year. We would ask for an additional $500,000 from the town. I'll be transparent, and I did not vote for the override last year. I think that we should be funding this $500,000 tonight without an override. And here's why. We know what we have. And I did have a recent conversation with our town administrator, and we have some ARPA funds that we're paying for staff. There's other things that ARPA funds can pay for. I think it's incumbent on our town to look at where those funds can go. I know one person has left, and we could reallocate other funds. ARPA funds can go for trash, and they can go for roads. That's to be discussed at our next town meeting. So maybe we can't fund it totally tonight. That's the will of this body. But we know what our schools need. We need this funding. Hopefully additional funding can come. Now that I'm hearing that we're going to need another $700,000 at an additional meeting, puts us at about $1.3 million. Pepperell made cuts last year. They fully funded their town assessment for the schools out of their operating budget tonight. We got to think long and hard at what we're doing. I'm not sure our town is going to vote $1.3 million. You represent our community. I know there's other people that vote. There's some additional funds that were put into this budget that our town administrator mentioned. I know there's someone behind me that wants to talk about that. There's someone else behind that has some very specific numbers. This body tonight, we need to think long and hard about what we're doing. I don't know what's in our free cash, but we need to make some very concrete decisions about what we're doing. And I'm not sure that an override is the right way to go. We need to start thinking long and hard about where those reductions need to be. And I'm sorry if it's going to hurt some other areas, but our schools have been taking the brunt of it, and we need to figure out some other funding mechanisms for the short term, even if it means some other services take a step back as well. But to hear that news tonight is pretty shocking when we're coming forward to try to adjust the school numbers. So I know, Mr. Moderator, you get to go who next, but I know Todd's behind.
Okay, I've got to recognize people down here. The young lady here has been standing for about 20 minutes, so I'm going to recognize you.
Hi, my name is Natalia Way. I actually just moved to Townsend. It'll be a year at the end of the month. I'm on 248 South Row Road. One of the expectations for coming to town is to have a good education for my future family. It's kind of heartbreaking to be in a town where asking for less than $12 a month for this education as an override is such a hostile request. I think the future, it's not going to get any easier. We can't guarantee that the state or the government is going to take care of us. We have to take care of each other. And I think by doing an override, that's the only way we're going to confirm that we can take care of ourselves. We can't expect anyone to take care of us, and I look forward to a future in this town where we're supporting each other and making a beautiful future for our kids. Thank you.
Okay, comments come on the motion. All right, Varesh, and then up to the balcony again.
Just a quick question. Which article we're discussing? And are we amending Article 5? because I think we already started discussion and the article has not been amended, and so far it stands at 1,334,000 and so on.
The motion actually was for the figure of $611,000, not as printed in the warrant. So the motion itself is only asking for 611. All right, back to the balcony, Mr. Melanson.
One clarification we have, when your presentation, you showed the large percentage of the school and how much it takes above our budget. One thing you have to realize, it's the single largest employer in town government. The second thing I'll mention is, as a water commissioner and chairman of the water commissioners, I challenge or want to ask why the water department was included in the total receipts of the town. The water department works off of the water enterprise account. We do not work off of any of the tax dollars and should not be included in the town budget in presenting of what cuts or where the revenue is coming from. Thank you.
Comments come on the motion, and I know the young lady that has been waiting up in the balcony to speak, so up in the balcony. Oh, yeah. All right, go ahead. What's your name?
Hi, Dawn Priest, 8 Pine Street. Before I actually get started with my thoughts on this, I would like to know if you can explain to the voters exactly the calculation of your $611,363,000, because it appears that the actual number should be $500,664 based on the commitment in your letter of August 5th, 2024 to the schools for the initial limit with no override.
Okay, question comes on the motion. Mr. Mui?
Hi, Don. So you're right that back in August, my predecessor, along with the TAs in Pepperell and Ashby, wrote a letter that we could at most support a 3% increase. How I arrived at the $611,000, as I mentioned before, was I used FY22 as a baseline, and using that as a baseline, I increased each year's budget amount by 2.5% year over year, and the number that I get for FY26 is $14,682,000. And if you compare that to what the school is asking for, which is $15.23 million, $611,000 is the difference. So I would say, that is, above and beyond the 2.5% that the town can reasonably afford year over year. So that's why $611,000 is the amount for the 2.5% override.
Did you communicate to the school that it wouldn't be 3%?
Hold on. Direct the question to the chair, please.
Sorry.
All right. What's
Was
your
it
question?
communicated to the school that it was no longer going to be a 3% allocation with no override?
I forget the exact, no, we did not, but I forget the exact language of the letter itself, but we're talking, 0.5%. And again, you're doing year over year. I'm thinking long term. The problem is some of these increases year over year were more than 2.5 or 3% from the schools. And what happens is that increase follows us throughout the years. So, your 3% is just comparing FY25 to 26, but I'm looking more long term, and I think it paints a better picture of the issues we've had over the years, instead of just comparing one year over the other. So that's why $611,000 is the number we landed on.
Okay. I just want to ask Mr. Congdon if you wanted to excuse the scouts. I know they have been very patient and willing to help out tonight. I don't want to keep them up too late. I know they must have homework to do. But they're welcome to stay, but I just want to give you the opportunity, and while we're at it, if we could give them a big hand for coming up. Okay, I have to recognize some folks down on the floor here. So, Mr. French?
Hi, my name is Nathan French, Brookline Street. I come before you tonight wearing 3 hats. The first hat is a graduate of North Middlesex. I graduated in 2014. And in my time there, I worked with many wonderful teachers who shaped my path through life to the job I have now. Another hat I wear, which is a teacher at Spalding Memorial School in Ashby Elementary, where I teach music, and I greatly love my job and the gift I have of being able to work with students all throughout Townsend and Ashby. My third hat is that of a lifelong resident of Townsend, where I lived my whole life. I love this town, I love this community, and I come before you tonight to say that I really strongly support the schools, and I believe that it's imperative that we as a town support the schools through proper funding. There are already devastating cuts coming without even with an override. We're looking at 20 staff cuts. Ashby is losing their one and only school, which is devastating, and my heart goes out to every single family and every single family that's considering moving to Ashby. And even with that override, those cuts are happening. So we need to take action now. I know we're talking about maybe the state coming in down the road to help us, but the schools are in financial crisis now. The children of our towns need our support now. And we need to act as a town now to preserve the education of our children and of future generations in these towns going forward. Thank you.
Okay, comments come on the motion. Back to the balcony.
Thank you. So I guess my thought here is this has caused quite a lot of division in our town since last year when things got quite muddled, and frankly, given the way this is going tonight, it's getting muddled again. The bringing up of a potential override for our town budget that hasn't even been presented to the voters as a draft, nothing to do with the article. We're headed down a really dangerous path. I have the letter that you were asking about and the commitment amount was $14,792,866, including operating, transportation, and debt service. Any figure above that would require an override, which would mean that the override amount would not exceed $500,664. And I think that a big part of our problem is that we are constantly being told things that are not followed through on. The school wasn't notified that the commitment changed. They worked tirelessly to develop a budget to bring before this meeting, and it's inconsiderate at best that that wasn't communicated. That all being said, I think that in order to maybe bring some harmony back to our community and restore some faith and trust in our administration, maybe I would move to amend the motion on the floor. I'd move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,293,530 for the general fund budget expenses for fiscal year 2026 for the North Middlesex Regional School District operating, transportation, and debt assessments to the town for fiscal year 2026.
Quite frankly, I don't know if that motion is in order, because what's before the meeting is to appropriate funds, not address the whole budget of the school. I think you're proposing to change the whole budget of the school or to appropriate a sum. We don't do that until the annual town meeting.
It is legal, and we could check with town council, to appropriate funds at a special town meeting where the fiscal tax rate has not been set for the next fiscal year, or where the whole budget has not been presented. And I think that it's appropriate to do so. If we're discussing an override amount, then that means we're discussing a full budget amount, because we can't do an override if we don't know what the full budget is. So I would feel it is appropriate.
I'm going to defer to town council. I have never heard of anybody changing an article to address the whole budget when we're not at town meeting. The annual town meeting, that is.
Yeah, technically it's a town meeting.
It is a town meeting. Now, I'm going to rule that's out of order. All right, down on the floor again.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bill Rideout, 88 South Harbor Road. First of all, I just wanted to briefly, I know we've talked about it before, but March 24th, this meeting at UMass Amherst is extremely important so that we don't have this same discussion next year about an override, which I definitely do not want to hear. So everybody who can make that March 24th meeting, please come. And, you know, Margaret has been working very hard to try to get this funding. It's a really tough job, and I think we have a chance to really improve our situation at the state level and stop these, you know, make our town meetings a little nicer. My second comment is I just have a fear that if we have 2 override votes on the same ballot, that we're basically killing the chance of any of them passing. Just my recommendation is going to be hard enough to get the school budget override passed. If that's the only one, if there's 2, then it's just going to go down in flames. It's just my personal feeling about the mood of the town, but I just wanted to put that on the record.
All right, comments comes on the motion. Oh, you want to respond, Ms. Kell?
I just want to say that we wanted to make sure that we had one override that was specific for the schools. Can you hear me? How about there? Okay. We do have a draft budget, and we just feel, and again, we haven't voted the second override yet to be on the ballot, but we just feel that we should give the town the opportunity to turn down the second override if in fact that's what they want to do, because it does mean a cut in services. And I don't mean to do scare tactics. We opted to do things differently than what Pepperell did last year, where they fully funded their schools and then they said, this is what you're going to lose. If we don't have that second override, we haven't even asked the people if you want to lose what you're going to lose. Because we have to do about a 30% cut in services without the second half or a little bit more of the 1.334 million. It's just the way it is. And so that means that you're looking at the library, the senior center, not totally closed, but probably 3 days a week of service. The things that we won't cut is public safety, water we can't cut, public safety, water, education, debt service, and insurance for the town. Those are the things that we have to fund. So, pardon me? Right, so the comment was 2 overrides in one ballot, and that's what I'm addressing, and that's the reason for it. So I would hope that the schools would pass. But we didn't want to come in the way it was done last year, where the 1.334 million was what was needed, and it was couched as it was for the schools. What we need is $611,000 for the schools. Nelson went through the figures, and that's what we came up with. Yes, it doesn't incorporate the 3% commitment that I never saw that letter till it was posted online this weekend, because we have had a change in the staffing that's sitting at this table versus what was here when that letter was written. Totally 100% complete change. So we went with what would have happened had an override passed for, what was it, 350,000 5 years ago, you know, like 400,000 the following year. Then it was another, there's been an override on the ballot for the schools every year for about the past 5 years. Last year it was $1 million, and we didn't want it to be $1 million this year. It's true that the one override at least should at least be for the schools. So that's where we are.
All right,
That's all I
comments
have
come
to
on the
say.
motion. Manish?
Jacek Konstanowski, 16 Alisa Drive. Mr. Moderator, I would like to share a few numbers to maybe make it a bit easier to understand the problem. So since 2020, cumulative inflation is around 24%. And I know there are different ways to do it, to do calculations, different sources. It's plus minus. Since 2020, an average pay increase is approximately 25%. So, if you're under impression that you're not really doing financially any better, I have news for you. You're not. Now, keeping this in mind, since 2020, our town budget increased by 13.9%. What it means in practice, our town employees, the people that we pay from our taxes, got shortchanged by 8%. We gave them pay cut by 8%. That's the reality. Now, during the same time frame, the school budget increased by 15.9%. Again, we gave them a pay cut. We shortchanged them based on inflation and the actual increase in the budget. Now, we have modification to the proposed override, and it's my understanding right now we're talking about 2.5%. Plus minus, again. Of course, that's on top of our regular, allowed by the law, 2.5% increase. That may be an annual increase. It doesn't have to be 2.5%, but it can be. It cannot be higher. So that gives you already a total of 5%. Plus, starting in July, we will get 1% that we already voted on and approved for Community Preservation Act. So that gives us 6%. That's $60 on every $1,000 of tax, just so everybody understands what's coming. Now, we voted no on the previous override, and we ended up holding purple bags. I'm not sure how happy you are with purple bag system, but that's what it was. It was an attempt to plug the holes in the budget. Now, if we vote yes today, the final outcome still depends on the ballot. If we vote no, it's over, but I hope we vote yes. And the key question in such a case is what happens if this vote fails in a ballot? Not today. Let's say we vote yes. But still, on a ballot, what happens if it comes as a no? And yeah, of course, we could maybe increase the price of purple bags to $10 a bag. It's a way of dealing with things, right? We can eliminate services, which we already heard, that as an option. Now, following on past ideas, I would like to provide some additional options how to deal with the holes in the budget. So, when we passed Community Preservation Act, it was a fee, not tax increase. We called it a fee with a justification provided why. So it's 1% fee on our taxes. We will pay all the same, but it has a different name. So, following the same line of thinking, I have a suggestion. It's my understanding that all the streets in Townsend are designated as scenic routes. It's a fact. So, one more additional small step, and we can call Townsend a resort town. And if we call it a resort town, we can impose resort fees. How 18% sounds to you? Thank you very much.
All right, comments come on the motion. I'm going to, all right, yeah, up on the balcony, are you deferring? Okay. Oh, she wants to speak. All right, pass the mic, please.
I would just like to remind the council that...
Ma'am, could you state your name?
Oh, sorry, Rochelle Boehm, 18 Woodland Drive. The schools have been on an override for the last, I forget how many years, because the town has not given any increase in funding, period, amen. You give it to fire, you give it to police, you give it to every other department in this town, but schools have to rely on an override. And as I stated last year, it is not fair to give increases to every other department except the school. Secondly, if you are down there, please take a look at the balcony and look at how smushed we are up here. My son currently has 32 kids in his class. Teachers trip over themselves to get at a student to answer questions that they have. Now imagine this is what your children are facing now, and if you don't vote for the override that we're asking for, their class sizes are going to jump even astronomically higher. Can you imagine elementary and middle school kids having close to 40 kids in class? Now add those with developmental disabilities that have, wiggle issues or need additional instruction. I feel frustrated as a member of, as the head of CPAC, as a member of this community, as a parent who has a child in this community, that we have to keep fighting for educational funding. It's ridiculous. I know the state is the problem. We all know the state is the problem. But unfortunately, Maura Healey and our state reps are not coming to our rescue in the immediate future. So I'm begging, I'm asking, I'm pleading, all of you, even those of you who have had children and your children are now having grandchildren, remember that once upon a time, some of us paid for your children to go to school and get a quality education. I'm kindly asking you to remember that now so that my child and everybody else's child who's in this district can get this same quality education.
All right, comments come on the motion. Comments on the floor.
Brad Hahn, Brown Road. So I think what you're seeing tonight is exactly why we voted no, to give you complete authority to be able to just make appointments. You've heard from a number of people in this room that would like to see this added and funded through the budget, putting other things to an override. I don't understand why we can't. Mr. Moderator, you said you couldn't deem that appropriate. Under what circumstances would you deem it appropriate? We have a quorum, we have the people here tonight, the people have spoken.
It's not within the warrant article.
So then that's exactly
the
why.
The town did not get notice of changing the entire school budget.
So then at what point do the select board have to submit a proposal to us so we can understand where we would like the school to be funded? Because again, they're having total control over what's going to go to override and what's not. And I believe the people of this community have spoken differently. How do we fix that?
It's up to this meeting now to debate and vote on the article before you.
Well, the people here, so if we don't vote, so let me understand this.
What's your point of order?
And then clearly articulate what you'd like to move on the amendment. So
when you denied the amendment over here, that was actually not supported by the town bylaws.
Well, ma'am, as moderator, I have the right and the duty to decide what is within the warrant articles. And it's my ruling that that is to take up the entire school budget and vote the full budget under this article is not within the four corners of the article.
That sounds like a dictator approach.
I'm sorry, those are the rules. The town meeting is not a free-for-all. It's not set up so that anybody can do anything they want. We have certain rules that we have to follow, sir.
I do have the floor for the point of order, and I would like to say one more thing, please, which is, although you can say what the rules are for the town warrant, it is by our rights to be able to ask for an amendment on what we're debating.
If you want to, are you saying you want to ask for a vote for $15 million in the article?
I'd like to vote on her amendment.
Well, I'm sorry, again, it is not under the warrant articles. You can't expect, there could have been a lot of other people here that would have come to this meeting if they thought the town was going to vote $15 million for, under that amendment. So that amendment is out of order, and that's my ruling that stands. All right.
Can I finish my statement?
Sir, you spoke, I think, finish up what you want to say, but I mean...
I appreciate that. So going back to it, how do we, when is it appropriate to bring forward to the selectmen to ask you guys to bring it to a vote for us to be able to put the total school budget into the budget and fund it through our budget, as opposed to doing it as an override?
Well,
where would that be appropriate?
Well, I think what you could suggest is you could attend finance committee meetings, could attend the select board meetings. You could communicate to the selectmen what you would like them to do. The selectmen are the chief executive function of the town. They have a job to try to figure out how they're going to fund the school budget, how they're going to pay for other services, some of which are under contract, so we can't, do too much about that. Certainly, you can express your view that maybe some things should be changed, but unfortunately, the town meeting doesn't have the ability to range all over the map and change things organically here. So
that's
again, I'd say you speak with the school committee and try to find out what they're doing, and then bring it to the selectmen.
The school committee's done everything they can do. I mean, to ask them to do anything more is
sir,
ridiculous.
at this point, your options are to vote at the town meeting. I mean, I can't give you
but if we're not able to make an
primer on
amendment
how
at the
do you
town
change
meeting,
the government entirely.
but if we're not able to make an amendment at the town meeting, how do we ever get that to a vote? It seems like it's just a debate.
All right. I'm going to say this one last time, and I'm not going to entertain any more debate about whether or not this point of order was denied or not. The Mass General laws provide that the moderator has the role to decide whether or not a motion or an article, amendment of a motion, is within the four corners of the warrant. And it's my determination that it is not. It's not, because it does not give, that motion does not give adequate notice to the rest of the community of what is being proposed. So I think it's outside the warrant.
Can I ask a question? Is
Ms.
it
Keller.
appropriate and within the purview of this body to ask if the amount above can be financed through free cash for this year, and then the only override, because we don't think both are going to pass, go for the override for the town, fund it through free cash this year so that parents feel supported, the schools can't cut anymore. The state hopefully is going to come through with supplemental fund if we all do our part. Is there enough in free cash to fund the 500, 600,000, whatever you want to say it is? Is that an appropriate amendment to the motion, rather through an override, to change it to funding it through free cash?
You're asking, is it appropriate to amend the motion to take the money from free cash and not under a proper 2.5 and override?
Instead of saying, such as appropriation to be contingent upon the town's approval at an election, blah, 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 through free cash. Is that appropriate? Is that an appropriate motion allowed?
There's not enough free cash.
I'm in doubt on that. And town council, what's being proposed is an amendment
No, we don't have enough.
to take the money from free cash.
Not if we pay snow
And
and ice. Can I say something, please?
I'd like to get an opinion from town council. All right, we're going to take a 5-minute recess.
How do I like what? You know?
All right, folks, let's get back together, please. All right, everyone, if you can, please find your seats. We got to. Okay, we're going to get started. Ms. Kelly, you were posing a question about to what degree or how the article could be amended, the motion could be amended. The motion can be amended. We cannot take up the entire school budget in this article, but the motion can be amended. So if you have an amendment, you can offer it.
May I first ask how much is in free cash?
Question comes on relative to amount of free cash available.
Hello? My mic.
Don't forget to subtract the fire truck.
My mic's not on. Can you hear me?
Can't hear you.
My mic is not.
Test.
All right.
Hi.
Mr. Mui.
So we had a free cash balance of $628,955. This is before those articles that we approved at the January special town meeting. So let me just do some calculations here. $628,955 was our certified free cash amount. And there were, as you are aware, articles that we voted on at the January special town meeting that totaled $56,507. We voted tonight for the $80,790. And just so you're aware, every year the snow and ice deficit comes out of free cash, and we are projecting $250,000. So when you take all that into account, we are left with a free cash balance of $241,658.
Okay. Comments come on the motion.
Can I defer to Kim Craven to make the motion, since she has it all?
Oh, I'm sorry. There was the TEMA that wasn't actually voted on, was it? All right, so that doesn't count technically.
Okay.
right. Yeah,
Is there
so-
anything else to be said? I guess, is there a proposal for an amendment?
So tell me what you think the balance is, please, Mr. Town Administrator.
241,658. But I will say the snow and ice deficit of 250,000, that is just an estimate. We won't know that until basically the winter season is over. So if that 250,000 come town meeting is not enough, then we're going to have to find some other way to plug that deficit. So that's just, you know.
What do you predict the sale of 540 Main Street?
Excuse me?
How much do you predict will be the sale of 540 Main Street?
I can't speculate on how much that would go for. It would go to an auction. I don't know what the minimum would be for that location, but that's up to the, you know, the auction company to. So yeah, I can't speculate on how much it's that would sell for.
Okay. So I move that the town allocate $200,000 from free cash for the school department budget and take the remaining $411,363,000 from the operating budget.
I guess if you want to write that up, you're proposing then to take money out of the rest of the budget. Yep. Mr.
So I
Ms.
want to
Mead.
be clear. This is the FY, and you probably already know this, but just so everybody else knows. So this is the FY '26 budget.
Yes.
For the increase for the budget for the school. So your proposal is that you transfer, as part of the budget process, $200,000 in free cash and then appropriate the balance
From the
budget.
26.
Correct. As the annual budget is coming up for annual town meeting.
Correct.
All right, if you could reduce that to writing, Kim?
It's being written right.
Okey-doke.
And I heard a second from the floor.
Sure. Yeah, I heard it. There was a second.
No.
Yeah, while we're waiting, Mr. Hackler.
Mr. Moderator, you know, I would just like to say that I'm very supportive of the way the Select Board is doing this year to set this out into two different parts, the 611,000 roughly, you know, allocating that as the school side of it, and then openly telling everyone there's going to be a second one for the town. You know, I appreciate what they're doing here. I think this is, you know, a nice gesture on their part to tell us this is what we're going to do, this is where the money is going, and allowing the voters to decide how this is going to go from there.
All right, comments come on the motion. Come on up. Okay, we need the motion's made by Kim, and you're seconding it? Okay. Where's Kim? Kim, you authorize, okay.
Do you have to read that in or anything? Do you have to read that in or anything before?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you'll have to read it, yep. State, no, Kim, this way. Kim, come here.
Come up here.
In the hall. Okay.
Wait, don't go far. I might need to change it.
Okay. All right. The amendment reads, move that the town apply $200,000 from free cash and raise and appropriate $411,336 from the fiscal year 26 operating budget for the school operating transportation and department assessment to the town for fiscal 26. That's the motion made and seconded.
Debt.
That's debt assessment. Operating transportation and debt assessment.
I'm sorry, what?
It says operating transportation and debt.
You said.
Oh, and debt, okay. Okay.
It was fast, it was rushed.
Writing's almost as bad as mine. And debt. Okay, all right. All right, the motion's been made and seconded. Any comments? Sir, you've been waiting.
Oh, no, go ahead. No.
Oh, all right, Ms. Kell.
Hear me? Closer? How about now? All right, just... All right, how about now? All right, everybody needs to understand in town that to keep the senior center open, the library open, the cemetery and parks, the highway department, we still need 1.33 million. If we appropriate everything to the schools, that's cool, but understand that what happened in Pepperell last year is what will happen this year. There will be an override question on the ballot.
All right.
The town needs to understand
I think the
the
town
effect.
meeting needs to know what's the consequences. So I think that is within the debate here.
Absolutely relevant.
I'll ask town council. Town council, is that discussion in order?
Yes,
It is.
so that you know the consequences. That's it. Choice.
All right. Anything to be said about the amendment? Mr. Rideout?
Sure, go for it.
Oh, you waiting, line?
Go for it. It's fine.
I thought you were deferring.
No, it's fine.
All right, sorry. Just to be clear then, the probable result of this motion passing would be a $1.3 million override purely for town services, instead of the two overrides, part of which for the school and part of which is for the town.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, sir.
Mayor for North End Road, let's put this motion to put this question to a vote or whatever the term is.
Move the question?
Move the question, thank you.
Okay, is there a second? All right, so this is to end debate on the amendment, okay? So, all those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Hold on. Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Moving the question, right. Moving the question, all in favor of moving the question, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Okay. Question's been moved. The amendment is now before you. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no.
No.
The noes have it.
That's it.
All right. All right, you want to count? I need 7 people to stand for a count. All right, I don't have anybody to be recognized, so we're moving on. All right, Mr. Rahla. Move the question.
We asked for a count.
I need 7 people to stand up and say they want to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we have 7 people. All right, counters, come forward. This is on the motion to amend. All right, all those folks in favor of the motion to amend, please stand. In favor of this is in favor of the amendment to take $200,000 from free cash and raise and appropriate $411. Everybody get up and stretch.
More people stood up.
More people stood up.
Okay, is everybody voting now?
Yes.
You guys? Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. No. Just nobody's. You don't count me unless there's a tie. I'm not. Okay. They don't understand the motion, the question? Okay. All right, so everyone that's in support, this side has been counted. Everybody else is standing in favor of the motion to amend, right? All right, we're going to end. Yeah, that's why we got to have people stay in one spot. Yeah, they're doing the balcony. Huh? Yeah, 12. Yeah. All right.
But that is that.
And did you guys count the
That's
fines?
exactly what happened last year.
Okay, those folks that voted in favor can sit down. Those opposed, please stand. Don't count me. Yeah. I'm always standing, so don't count me. I only vote if there's a tie. Two. No, 96. All right, 48. So that's 90. 11 on the side, and 85 on the right. That's 96. And opposed on this side was 22, and on this side 48. Okay. All right. Okay, folks. Tally is in. Those in favor were 96. Those opposed was 90. So the amendment passes. All right. Now we have to vote on if there's further debate on the main motion as amended. If not, I think we've probably pretty much vetted this. Well, that was the motion to amend, okay? Now you have the amended motion on Article 5. I'm sorry, I can't answer if 20 people crying out. Someone has to raise their hand to be recognized. Okay.
That was the amended motion.
Right. That was the motion to amend the article.
It was the motion. It was voting on the
No.
motion as amended.
No, that was a... Okay, folks. There was a motion that was made. Okay? No. All right, hold on. Did I miss a motion to amend here, or I thought they were voting on the motion to amend? All right, so the selectmen made a motion. Kim Craven moved to amend that motion. You don't supplant the motion that's already on the floor. You have to amend it. And that's what you did. You voted to amend the motion. Now we have to vote on the main motion, the motion as amended by that last vote. No, ma'am. All right. You can vote on the main motion or not, but that's what we're going to vote on next. All those in favor of the main motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. You got to use the microphone, Kim.
John, you made the motion from the Board of Selectmen. I amended the motion. We got a second on the amendment. The first amendment by the Board of Selectmen did not stand.
No. The motion that was made by the selectmen was different than the article in the warrant, okay? But because it was less money than what was prayed for in the article, it was within the four
God, John,
corners of
no.
the article, okay? Then there was debate about that. Then you made your motion to amend that to take the money from free cash and from a raise and appropriate, okay? That motion was an amendment to the selectmen's motion that was going to go to an override. The selectmen's motion was going to fund that money based on an override and based on an approval here. And then it would be contingent on a ballot question, Prop 2.5 override. That was taken out by the amendment, and now that $411,000 as amended, if it's approved, and it sounds like it just did, is going to be taken out of the town budget, and $200,000 will be taken out of free cash.
Correct.
That's what you just voted to do.
Yes. Yes,
Right.
okay.
All right, I've had a request
Okay,
from the...
that's not what it sounded like you said, so thank you for clarifying.
Okay. Now, there's a request before we dissolve from the town clerk who would like to address the meeting. Kathy?
I would just like to say that over the 11 years that I've served as town clerk, it has been a pleasure to serve all you people, and I really appreciate the support you have given me over the past 11 years. And I make a motion to dissolve the meeting.
Motion's been made to dissolve the meeting. Is there a second? After the accolade. All right. All those in favor of dissolving the meeting, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The meeting's dissolved.